Hello and welcome to our Measurement Month podcast with our young professionals from Isentia. It's a really exciting time for us today as we're recording this, and we hope that you get a real sense of the people that have won Young Professional of the Year, what they got out of it, and really what their day-to-day life looks like in the measurement industry and what they look forward to. So we've got 3 regions within Isentia represented today. We've got Australia, New Zealand and Vietnam, and I think that through the conversation we'll find that there are significant differences between the markets that we all operate in and the client interactions that we have. I'll go from the start and introduce our guests today. We've got Kate Greenwood, who won the AMEC Young Professional in 2012. We've got Nairi Crawford, who won in 2014, and this year's winner, Kang Ngo from Vietnam. So thank you all for coming today. I'm going to be the moderator, so I'm going to be asking you some questions. None of them are difficult, so I promise I won't be too rough. But really it's just to get a sense of where you are in the industry, what you're looking forward to in the industry, to really give people a sense of how we work as a team here and really our relationship with AMEC. So the first question I have is for Kate. Kate, you were our first Young Professional of the Year, and at the time I remember it was a very big deal internally and quite a big thing for you. What changed for you after winning it?
Yeah, it was a really big deal. I certainly didn't expect to win. So when John Kroll invited me to go to the summit and the awards dinner in Dublin, I thought, well, it's going to be a bit awkward for us when I don't win, but sure, I'll come along. And it really was a surprise. And I guess what changed for me is that it raised people's expectations of me, and I had to meet them. And so when I returned from the summit and with my accolades, I was expected to design an integrated methodology or adjust our qualitative methodology to suit social media. And, I didn't feel like I had any right to do that. I didn't feel like, I thought that was for something for greater minds than mine. But people expected me to do it because I was the Young Professional of the Year. And so I did. And, I think one of the things that's been really good to see is now that's kind of second nature to all our analysts here. But also the methodology that I kind of put together is looking a bit tired, and it's always evolving. So, yeah.
You mentioned that you got to travel to Dublin, and when you look back at the material that came out of Dublin, it was a very significant summit for social media and for a lot of other things. What were some of the highlights of the Dublin summit in terms of the content for you?
Well, sure, and I probably should have said that as well. There was so much rich content at the Dublin summit about social media measurements and standards and metrics, and I came back armed with that knowledge. So it wasn't just that people expected me to be able to devise a social media methodology, but that I had been exposed to all of those really rigorous debates about what you look for, why you look for it, what's important, what isn't. So that was incredibly important and valuable, and I got to apply that directly. But on a more personal note, I met friends there who I'll probably be friends with for life. So we've talked about how quite often when we talk about what we do, you meet someone new and say you're a media analyst, and they don't really understand what that is.
It's a very hard job to describe to your grandparents or your parents or to strangers.
Yeah, and they sort of shake their heads, and if they do understand what it is, they can't believe it's real, and they sort of, you can see the amusement in people's eyes. But to be able to go there to the forum where there's my peers from around the world, and you don't have to explain what you do. They all know it, and they do it every day. It's great.
Now, you're still in touch and catch up regularly with people that you met in Dublin.
I am.
Can you give a shout out to Siri?
Hello, Siri Gorn. She works for TNS. And she's a great friend. And
amazing. Yeah, that's good. Moving now to New Zealand. Thank you for that, Kate. But I wanted to move now to New Zealand, and I guess for at the other end of the scale, which is, when we get new people coming in. And I wanted to ask you, Nari, you've hired a lot of analysts and you've just hired a new media analyst for your team. What do you look for when hiring a media analyst?
I think one of the key things that is really difficult, and Kate touched on it before, is that nobody necessarily knows what the job is. So you can get a lot of interesting applications. But the main thing that I really look for is someone who has an understanding about communications and media as being a thing that is constructed, and being really comfortable with that idea. A lot of the specific kind of statistical stuff and the methodologies and all that kind of stuff you can teach someone, but you can't really instill an interest and a passion into about how people communicate and wanting to be able to deconstruct that. So that's definitely the first key thing. And then the other massive thing is people that are really self-motivated in terms of project management and really kind of love that end-to-end process of meeting a client, designing something, and then pulling all of the different pieces together, and not necessarily needing kind of constant praise along the way. That's just how they're motivated to want to produce work, and that they really enjoy that process. Those are my two key things about media.
Yeah, that's really insightful and really important, and just shows why you've hired such good people along the way. Kang, I'm going to move to you now in Vietnam, and we've just heard about the significance of when Kate won the Young Professional in 2012. It's all very new to you. You've just gone through this. You've just come to Australia to spend a lot of time with the Insights team here. I wanted really to get an idea from you about what has changed since you've won the Young Professional.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. I must say that I'm very grateful for the Australian trip. It's really great experience that I had from a big company like iCenter in Sydney office, his headquarters. It's greatly expands my view about the industry, about way of working among the Insights team over there, and level of professionalism from other side of the globe. I think so. There are a lot of differences. There are a lot of differences in media measurement because of the marketness. But also from the trip, I learned that there are a lot of similarities that we can cater to clients from our market in Asia market, and it's a way that we can cater gradually to the clients here who is very new to our media measurement industry in Asia.
That's really interesting. We certainly loved having you here and hope that you can come back again.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn to you. I'm going to turn to, I guess, one of the focal points for Measurement Month has been the updated Barcelona Principles, Barcelona Principles 2.0. And I know that you and I were involved in putting, I guess, some suggestions to David Rockland and the group that were updating it. What are your thoughts on how that all ended up? What are your views on the updated Barcelona Principles?
Sure. First of all, I'd say it's great that they were revised and updated, and that it's recognised that they're continually evolving. And I really like the kind of gesture towards continual improvement and evolution rather than things being set in stone. I also really like the subtle but important shift in emphasis from the negative, what not to do, what to avoid, to the positive, to what to do, what's good, what's encouraged. I guess I'd like to see a little bit more of that. So there's still, I think it's the fifth principle about, AVs are not the value of communication. I look forward to a time when we don't have to say that, when it's just a given.
I think we all do.
Yeah. And on a similar note, but it's certainly it's a minor thing. But again, with the principle to do with social media should be measured in concert with platforms. Again, I look forward to a time when we don't have to name check social media specifically, when it is just one of the many things that we look at when we're planning arts and communication.
That's good. That's really good. For your take, Nari, you've had a look through the Barcelona principles. What were your view of what the changes were and the benefits of those changes?
I think the changes were good, and that it did. I think some of the language was tightened up. I think it makes it more accessible to people. I was giving some presentations this week around our relationship with AMEC and I guess the core principles of what it is that we do as analysts and the more academic side of our work. And I was explaining that to people that don't have anything to do with the insights world, and I certainly found it a lot easier to explain with the additions and the changes that have been made, and people outside of our area connected with it a little bit more.
Yeah, I certainly agree, and I haven't presented on them yet, but I think that the materials that have come out with them are far better than what we've had in the past, and there's been a lot of work that's gone into it, the infographic and the more context around the changes and the more guidance that they're providing certainly makes it really much easier for people like you who are obviously always out there advocating for measurement, advocating for best practice. So good to hear, very good to hear. Still on Measurement Month, I wanted to move to Kang now and really ask you, Kang, what has been the highlight of Measurement Month for you?
Yes. I had during the my trip to Australia, I had very fortunate for me. I had the chance to attend the AMEC Measurement Month for Asia Pacific, organized in Sydney. Where there I in person have chance to listen to Jim McNamara. He had our amazing presentation about the needs of listening, of two-way communications in the effective communications industry. Because previously we all think about our PRA media is one-way street. That the company, the organizations trying to convey the messages, but if we listen well, if we get enough information, the communication will be better, and we have the correct message, the messages that your target audience, your consumer, and also your employees need to get. And also from the presentations, I feel the need of media measurement, the need of social listening that have a lot for the companies and organizations to better off their communication plan and communication messages to externally. So it's really eye-opening for me, and also the way that presenters show the passion, show their enthusiasm in the talks, show me, energize me and help me have more passion and energy for my work too. And it's really good for me to continue on the way to keep learning for better outreach for my clients.
That's really good to hear, and I think that Jim's presentation was very interesting, and that line that measurement and evaluation is a great form of listening was really good, and we're looking forward to his book coming out in December. I wanted to move, thank you, Kang, for that. I wanted to move to Kate now, and I think that you and I have really emphasised training in the team over the last year and a half. Within that, I think nearly 90% of our team here has completed AMEC College. You were our first guinea pig, so you went alone.
I forgot about that, yeah.
Yes, you did it first, and I wanted to, I guess, get your experience of that, other than the fact that when we're here in Australia, we have to join webinars
Yeah.
at very odd times in the day to get them live. But would you recommend it to others? And what did you get out of the AMEC College?
Yeah, absolutely. I would recommend it to others. I think it's kind of an extension of that sentiment I had about being at the summit with my people, other media analysts. It's a space where you can go and you're working with your peers, people from different countries who are AMEC members, all doing slightly different variations of a very similar thing, and all confronting the same problems. But also, like Nairi said, it's a job that not everyone knows how to do, and so attending the training session put it in some kind of historical context for me, and then also, yeah, just kind of put that framework around it, and it also highlighted for me, yeah, what we'll do differently here, and other things, other challenges that people in different markets might face that we don't necessarily face for whatever reason. So yeah, I'd recommend it, and I think most, if not all, of our analysts and members that have attended over the years, and they've all had the same feedback. Even really senior people all get something out of it, because no one comes to this job really ever having studied media analysis in the way we execute it. So yeah, everyone gets something out of it.
No, it's so true. It's so true. That's talking about that. I guess when we talk about young professionals and our careers, we've all been media analysts, and we've all been very, very close to specific projects. We all are quite hands-on, but you're all in leadership roles now. I wanted to, I guess, go back to those times when you were working on specific projects, when you were the analyst, and talk a little bit about what your favourite project was. So I'm going to ask you all to answer what your favourite project was and why that was so compelling and so satisfying. I might throw to Nairi to answer this first. Nairi, what's the best thing that you've worked on, the thing that's made you most proud, that you can talk about?
I think probably my favourite, I might call them my favourite clients, because they are still one of my favourite clients. And that is my lovely friends at White Ribbon. And I have worked, I think the first project that I did for White Ribbon was in 2009. And it was very, very basic, and it was just, you know, a bit of analysis on their press coverage and a bit of broadcast, and they didn't really know what to expect and didn't really think, just thought they'd have a crack at it and see what happened. And kind of cut to this year where we're doing analysis of everything, including all of their social media. We're auditing the new agencies that they've hired. We are looking to see if we can help partner to produce some social content for them with some other parts of our business, and just kind of really doing a full service look at their campaign. And I think the thing that I love about it so much is that they have always been really, really open, and they consider me and the rest of the team an extension of their team. And we are always involved in their strategy discussions. We're always involved in their planning sessions. We know a lot about their project, and we can actually influence what it is that they do each year. So they genuinely listen to what the data has told them and what's been successful, and you know, where we think that they should move based on what these other people are doing, and all that kind of stuff. Like, we can actually see over the years things that we've suggested that they've implemented and have been really successful. So that's kind of why I hold them very, very close to my heart.
It's certainly a really great case study, and one that we've used, and one that has won, you know, recognition at the AMEC Awards. So it's a fantastic relationship for our business, but it's also something that we can share with potential clients, but also the industry. So it's a real credit to you and the team and that relationship. Kang, are you able to talk about a project that you've been involved in that has been really exciting for you?
Sure. I have quite a lot of of projects that I'm really interested in. One of the things that was in my AMEC award entries about the Vietnam Motor Show. Vietnam Motor Show is an annual event. It's a very big event in Vietnam that a lot of our big company, automobile companies attend to have their impressive shows and introduce new models there. Every year we have the different requests to do the media measurement from each company about how they appear there, how well they receive from the media responses, and last year is the time that I created a report. I call it our media landscape for automobile participants at Vietnam Motor Show 2014. As I include all the participants, and one at a time, we can measure the favorability, the media coverage of every companies. At the same time, we measure the key messages coming out from the event. Also, the key reporters that doing for the event. So one at a time, I gain a good traction of participants, more clients for the same report, and it's very well received because all the companies know that how much they receive from the same and the share voice of them from this. So I think the report was able to combine a lot of separate work for a lot of companies within one, and they have the kind of industry benchmark, but also good for everyone. So it's one of the projects that I'm very interested in. But along the way, I work with clients. I have a lot of clients. They have improved so much from their media performance along the way, because now media measurement has become the indispensable tool for them to keep track of, to keep track of their media activities and know what have they done. They also set the specific targets for them in terms of value or in terms of volume of their media performance. And most of companies who engaged with media measurement, they are improved and they do their work better and better over the time, and that's interesting.
Tang, that's so interesting, but it's also quite inspiring to hear you talk about clients improving and really that discussion about measurement being indispensable. It's really really great to hear the work and the improvements that you've made in Vietnam. So congratulations for that.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's effort from my clients, also it's an effort I learned from other colleagues all over the world.
Kate, you're in the Australian team. When a big project comes in, most of us look to you to complete that. We noticed that you get scared at the start, but then you really take ownership of these quite large government reports. You've won AMEC awards for them as well, Gold AMEC awards. What's the favourite? Have you got a favourite, and why was it so? Why is it still your favourite, really?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Sally. Yeah, it's hard to choose a favourite. There have been a couple that really stand out, and then there's some that I'm still working on that probably can't talk about, which is a shame. But probably the favourite for me would be, we've done two that have really stood out for me. The project we delivered, was that last year, on age discrimination? And then one we did in 2010 on sport and gender. And yeah, the one on sport and gender I think is the one that stayed with me as is probably one of my favourites. Purely because it's an issue that just, I don't know if it's just that my ear got tuned to it by working on that project, but it feels to me like year after year there's more and more public discussion and campaigning to level the playing field, pardon the pun, for coverage of women in sport, and not just coverage, but for equal pay or pay that's closer to being equal, and the relationship between media coverage and those economic outcomes. And for me, that's really important, and the most important projects are the ones that do have policy and economic outcomes, so they really are playing around that link between media and communication and this kind of world of ideas and how that directly affects the economic. So that project, I won't talk too much about it because I could talk for a really long time, but I'll keep it really simple. And the case study might still be up on AMEC, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it definitely is, and it's available on the iCentre website as well.
Great. But the client was the Australian Sports Commission, and they wanted to know what percentage of Australian mainstream news and current affairs is about women's sport and what percentage is about men's sport. But then what's that coverage like? So even that first question is incredibly difficult to answer because we're a sporting nation. There's a lot of sporting content. How do you manage that? Like Nori was saying, as a project management exercise, that's incredibly difficult. But then qualitatively, how do you assess that? And as part of that project, I've got to work with some of my heroes really at the University of New South Wales. So Catherine Lumby, who was at UNSW at the time, and Helen Capel worked on that, the press component of that, and also putting the whole document together. And it was a really big honour, and I think the findings were really stark and spoke for themselves, and it's still being referred to today. And I would say that that research is probably out of date now because so much has changed in the media landscape, you know. It'd be great to do it again.
I want to do it again, absolutely. That's really a fascinating case study, and as you three both talk about what you're passionate about, it really comes through. I want to talk about, the good thing about the clients and the projects that you've just mentioned is the collaboration and the relationship that you build with your clients when you work with such important work with White Ribbon or, you know, the Australian Paralympic Committee. It really becomes a great strategic partnership. Before you get to that, though, before a client is a client, and when you're having a really first start is starting to talk to people about what measurement is and they don't know what they want. Nari, you deal a lot with this sort of situation in New Zealand. Where do you start with a client that doesn't know what they want?
Yeah, that's a question I get a lot. Generally, my very first thing that I will ask a client that is just curious about measurement more than anything else is, what is it that you wish that the rest of your organisation understood about what you do? Because so much of measurement isn't necessarily talking to our clients, it's helping our clients talk to the rest of their business. And really positioning them as a direct contributor to whatever the bottom line of that organisation is. So that's usually where I start, and it's amazing the kind of things that get drawn out of that. A lot of it is simply that I wish the CEO knew that I generate revenue.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, there's a way for us to demonstrate that. Let's do that.
It's really, really telling. Kang, I'm going to cross to you now, and really, you know, that's a really big challenge, and I know, Nara, you've been doing a lot of work with that in New Zealand, but Kang, in Vietnam, what do you see as your biggest challenge in your market?
Okay. In Vietnam market, I think the biggest challenge. For us, Vietnam is very new to media measurement. It's very early stage. I can say that even with PR is also very newly established, and we don't have any PR association yet officially in Vietnam. So our media measurement is something also more than that, very new, very infant stage. And for the market, I think uh, the, there are two challenges. The first is about the pricing. You know that research is never easy to be affordable. We know that the market research, and also we call media research is also the same thing. But because we need the client to get the very first-hand experience, we want the clients assess this service and get to know it and see how the service can improve their performance. So we still introduce client with a very introduction testing. It's kind of challenge for me, but also it's a way that I can get started and we can better off all the time. The second one is the client often change between the design and also the PR consultancy. It considers after we do the research.
I'm just going to stop you there. Sorry, I'm just going to stop you there because we've got some problems with the audio at our end. So we might just leave it to settle a little bit, and I might go to Kate for one sort of final wrap-up question. Kane, we will come back to you, but we just couldn't hear you properly. It was cutting in and out. Sorry about that. I guess I wanted to move to closing up a little bit. We will get back to you, Kane, but closing up on what we all think is our favourite part of the role. So I'm going to start.
Yeah.
So I will kick this one off. And I guess I've got two. The favourite part of my role is, I guess, the time that I spend outside of the business. So that the time that I spend either directly with clients, the time that I spend with people from AMEC or people from the industry, because that really is, to me, talking about measurement to new audiences, but also really trying to explain what we do and why it's beneficial to clients in Australia. So that's part of my favourite part of the role. The other part is really when you see young talent coming up through our team and people that, are so dedicated and so diligent and really are so conscientious about pleasing the client and doing the best that they can do every day. And I think that we've got a team that works extremely hard, and to see them really accomplish what they do and really deliver results and actionable insight for the client, it's what really sort of gets me out of bed in the morning to see new analysts come in and really get trained up and find their feet and then really make it their own, really. Kate, what would be your favourite part of your role?
It's a really hard question.
Yeah.
in one sense, because I honestly love everything about it. The people I work with, the clients, training the staff members, working with the sales guys, all of it. But the thing I love most is answering questions, no matter how big or small, and being someone who clients trust, who gives them good answers to questions, whether it's something really simple or something really tricky. And that's why I'm in research.
Yeah,
I love
difficult questions. They're just so much fun. Nairi, what would you describe as the favourite part of your role?
It's quite similar to what you both just said, actually.
We're all addicted to the same thing.
Yeah. Funny. I mean, for me, first, like on a personal level, when I'm working with a client and on a project, the stage that I love the most is that kind of diagnosis and design stage. Figuring out what the question is and what the best way to answer it might be is my absolute favourite thing. And then kind of as an extension to that, as someone who leads a team of analysts, that my favourite thing about doing that is watching them learn that process and own it and figure out new ways of doing things and being able to challenge traditional thinking in that sense. That when an analyst kind of comes to me with, this is the question, this is what I think we should be doing, and it's amazing. That's kind of like the highlight of my day.
It's pretty special. It's pretty special. Kang, I'm going to see whether our audio has improved there. What would you describe as the favourite part of your role?
Yeah, my favorite part of my job is actually there are a lot of parts of the job because I have a chance to deal. Yeah, I have chance to deal with different fields. I develop insights, have more initiatives, and how to develop inside products. I provide a lot of sales support because media management is still very new, and also involve marketing support so that we can get better market penetration. So whether great deal, a large deal, a bunch of skills that I get, so it's a very interesting and challenging job that I have. And the secondly, I'm fortunate to have knowledge exchanges across the region. I'm here, I'm in Asia, and also contact with our other global counterparts. So I feel like I'm lucky because I have lots of things to cater to my market. That's a very favorite.
That's so good. That's so good to hear. Okay, so that might take us to the end of a podcast. We are aware that there's probably a lot of questions that people might have for these three, so we will provide details for you to have a Q&A with them on Twitter, and that will come out through Barry and AMEC shortly. And we really just encourage anyone to ask them questions through that forum, but also you can contact them here at Isentia, especially if you want to sort of set up relationships with them or ask us or get into our expertise in any other way. So we're always happy to, I guess, build relationships across with other people around the world. It always helps us do what we do as well. Thank you so much to Kate, Nari and Kang. It's been so interesting and inspiring to hear you talk today. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, thanks, Carly.
Thanks, you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, very happy to receive more questions from the audience.
Thank you, Kang.